I thought I was helping him escape his abusive parents, but over time, I realized I was just enabling his toxic behavior, sacrificing my own well-being, and ignoring my own trauma, all for the sake of a relationship that was breaking me down inside. I mostly just need to get this off my chest. Honestly, it's been weighing on me. Charlie lives about 15 to 20 minutes away by car. We've been together for 5 months, and I used to happily make the drive to spend a few nights at his place. I've known for a while that his parents are abusive. They yell at him over nothing, sometimes hit him, and take away his phone and computer. He's planning to get out by the end of the school year once he secures an internship. His goal is to go low or no contact with them after that. I've done my best to make sure his parents like me, always polite, agreeable, and putting on a smile. Since they care about appearances, it seemed to work. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, I stayed over on a Sunday night. I didn't have my car because a friend of ours was planning to drive us to school in the morning. His parents had been out all day, and when they came home, clearly drunk, his 17-year-old sister complained that we ate too much lasagna. Just typical sibling stuff, nothing major. But his parents blew up over it. They called him into the kitchen and started screaming and berating him over something so trivial. Charlie apologized, told me not to worry, and said it was normal. This kind of thing happens all the time. He left me in his room while he went to face them. I sat there in the dark, frozen, completely panicked. I can't even describe how scared I was. Nothing terrifies me more than people yelling. I felt trapped, helpless, and alone, with no way to escape because I didn't even have my car. I've been in situations like that before, and it always hits the same way. It was honestly one of the scariest moments I've had in a long time. So I was having one hell of a panic attack and crying like I was actively trying to shoot my eyes out of my sockets, and I hear a bang and louder screaming. So I think they're attacking Charlie and I panic, some more, and go to the kitchen, again, in tears. I arrive and attempt to say something like, "Is everything okay in here?" It comes out as, "What is wrong with you people?" with a broken, tearful, pathetic, screamy voice. Obviously I still regret this. It sounds like a bad excuse, but I wasn't really in control here. Before I knew it, Charlie's father, an absolutely terrifying man, was right in my face, screaming so forcefully that I think he actually spit on me. My first instinct was to lift my arm and try to push him away, even though I'm not strong. Thankfully, Charlie stepped in and forcefully pushed him back. It all spiraled from there, everyone was yelling, and I was desperately trying to find my phone, repeatedly saying, "I'm calling my dad, I'm calling my dad." In the end, I never did. I was sobbing so hard that my chest physically hurt, and for a moment, I genuinely felt like I couldn't breathe. After Charlie managed to push his family back and get them away from me, he gently took me by the shoulders and led me outside to calm down. He was incredibly kind and patient, like he knew exactly what to do. His mom came out a few times and just stared at us from the doorstep. Charlie calmly told her to leave us alone, said, "Can't you see she's not okay? Can't you see this isn't normal for her?" She tried to argue that I shouldn't have spoken to them that way. I'm not even sure that's how it happened, but Charlie stood his ground and made her go back inside. He stayed with me until I calmed down, reassured me that my reaction was completely valid, and wouldn't let me apologize. Then he helped me go inside to pack my things and handled his family for me so I wouldn't have to see them. We even left through the window so they couldn't stop us. We went straight to his aunt's house, where everyone welcomed us warmly. It turns out, the whole family knows how awful his mom is. I haven't seen his parents since then, and I don't intend to. I can't. Charlie told me later that when he tried to tell his mom how not normal all of this was, she replied, "Do you think she's normal, with those disgusting scars on her arms?" I used to self-harm, though I haven't in years, and the scars are barely noticeable now. Still, that comment shook me. She's just a cruel and hateful person. Even the thought of speaking to them makes me nauseous. The last time I saw them from a distance, I ignored them completely. Just sitting in my locked car outside their house for 5 minutes to pick up Charlie left me shaken. I know I haven't processed all of this. Part of me hoped writing this out would help me push past the ADHD and finally reach out to my therapist. Charlie seems to understand that I don't want to go back there. I told him I wouldn't be apologizing to his parents and that I didn't want to see them, at least for now. But I'm starting to feel like he's getting a little tired of the situation. I feel guilty that he always has to come to my place since we both still live with our families, even though I try to make things as comfortable as possible and my family really likes him. He mentioned today that it's hard having to choose between being at home and being with me, and that really hit me. I don't think Charlie fully understands just how terrified I was that night, and I'm not sure how to explain it in a way that would really make him feel it. I get the sense that, because he's lived with this kind of chaos for so long, he expects me to just be okay after a few days. Even though he keeps telling me it's fine and that he understands, I can tell this whole thing is starting to wear on him. And I don't know what to do about that. TLDR, my boyfriend's parents triggered a panic attack, and I never want to see them again. He says he gets it, but I can tell he's getting frustrated having to choose between staying home and spending time with me. Edit. Thank you so much for the overwhelming number of responses. I didn't expect it at all. I might not be able to respond to everyone, but please know that I truly appreciate every single reply. Yes, even the ones debating whether lasagna justifies parental abuse, it doesn't, for the record. I want to emphasize that my panic wasn't just about yelling, it was the history of physical abuse that had me on edge. I ran toward the shouting because I was afraid they were hitting Charlie again. Maybe my reaction seemed extreme to some, but honestly, if I'd handled it calmly, I still would have walked away and never wanted anything to do with those people again. The good news is that Charlie and I are on the same page now. I've been showing him the comments and it helped spark a real, honest conversation between us. That was what I'd been needing, just to feel heard and understood. He admitted he didn't realize how deeply it affected me or that I was still carrying all that fear. He's not a mind reader, and I understand that now too. We're both leaving for internships soon, so he'll be out of that toxic environment in a few months. Until then, we've agreed to make this work the way we have been. I'm not going back to that house, and he fully supports that decision. Thank you again. Truly. Update. In my original post, I talked about a relationship I had with a boyfriend whose family was physically abusive. He constantly pressured me to stay over at his house, mostly because I had a driver's license and he didn't want to put in the effort to get his own. He pushed me to be polite to his toxic family to make things easier for him, and I went along with it because I genuinely felt sympathy for what he was going through. He was well aware of my past trauma and how deeply frightened I could become, especially around aggressive men like his father. Despite this, he kept insisting I spend time at his place, even when I told him how triggering it was for me. He'd say things like he just didn't feel like going to my place, disregarding how unsafe I felt at his. That night, he talked me into staying over without my car. He said a friend would pick us up for school the next morning. I can't remember exactly why I didn't have my car, sorry. Later, his parents came home and started yelling at him. What I called a panic attack was actually an emotional flashback to severe childhood abuse. When I heard loud noises from the kitchen that sounded like someone hitting him, I instinctively ran in. In my family, when things got violent, sometimes the only way to defuse it was for me to cry or plead. That was my go-to reaction, hoping it would make them stop. But this time, instead of calming things down, it resulted in his dad getting in my face and screaming. I was so overwhelmed that I pushed him away, not even thinking, just reacting. Some people pointed out that I yelled, "I'll call my dad," and didn't actually do it. The truth is, I didn't plan to. I felt like the whole situation was somehow my fault. I said it because I hoped the threat of an outsider knowing might change their behavior. Later, we had to literally climb out the window and escape to his aunt's house. When I was writing that post, my ex caught me. He laughed at the comments where people said he should have protected me and even agreed with the ones calling my decisions stupid. I didn't have the courage to challenge those takes. I just pretended he had fully stood up to his parents and acted like he was the supportive boyfriend I wished he was. What I didn't mention in the original post was how he refused to work all summer, even when his own family offered him simple jobs. He relied entirely on me to cover expenses, especially when we went out to eat. Whenever I brought it up, he'd dismiss my concerns by saying I wouldn't understand because I was rich. Meanwhile, I was struggling to hold a job at a clinic, pushing through intense, undiagnosed PTSD that had me crying and self-harming daily from the stress of having to interact with people. 2 months after that post, he got tired of coming to my place and pressured me into apologizing to his parents. Despite being terrified of going back, I did it anyway. When he stayed over at my place, where my parents respected our space, he stayed up all night playing Fortnite, even when I told him I couldn't sleep. He didn't care, and I was constantly exhausted. He smoked on the balcony after I asked him not to, stomped around late at night, and then slept until the evening. I spent most days waiting for him to wake up, losing entire days while he showed no regard for the healthy routine I was trying to maintain just to stay mentally afloat. The one time I self-harmed during a breakdown, I hit myself and left a bruise, he got angry at me. Then, he shared what I'd done with a female friend over Discord, the same friend he comforted and complimented for going through similar struggles, calling her beautiful and unique. He never gave me that kind of support. I had to buy him tobacco, rolling paper, and filters just to keep him from lashing out. He claimed he couldn't control himself when he went too long without smoking. I was trying to quit at the time, failing, admittedly, but I never used withdrawal as an excuse to treat him badly. He refused to brush his teeth, no matter how many times I asked. He'd lash out at me over it, while smoking around 20 cigarettes a day. The smell alone was overwhelming. When I was prescribed Paxil, it didn't help at all. Instead, it gave me awful side effects. Coming off it caused severe withdrawal, electric shock sensations, flu-like symptoms, deep despair, and constant crying. One night, I was sobbing uncontrollably and vomiting from the withdrawal, and he didn't even pause his game. He just kept playing Fortnite while I suffered a few feet away. He would punch walls in anger. I'd show up for planned dates, only to find him too drunk to function, and I'd have to wait hours for him to sober up. He'd promise to come over and then show up 5 hours late, or not at all. One time, he went to the movies with a friend after telling me he'd be coming to see me, and he didn't even bother to tell me about the change in plans. He would laugh at me when I was upset. Despite me telling him that loud, drunk people made me anxious and terrified, he would drag me to parties. If I refused, he'd guilt-trip me into going. If I had to leave because of a panic attack, he'd either get angry or briefly pretend to care before going back to partying. There was one time when he drank a whole bottle of vodka and took 5 edibles because he didn't think they were strong enough. I had to pick him up in my pajamas and stay up all night comforting him while he cried about people's faces being made of colors. But the worst part of that relationship? I stayed. I stayed while he passed out drunk. I kept giving him money even after telling him I didn't want to. I bought him more cigarettes. I didn't kick him out of my house. I drove him everywhere. I let him insult me and mess with my mind. I even went back to his abusive home and tried to be nice for him. So much of it was my fault. I'm furious at him, but honestly, I'm even angrier at myself. I can't believe this is how little I thought I deserved. I moved to the UK from the south of France in May for an internship. I left him after he told me I was just too lazy to cook and that I should stop complaining because he had real problems. He said this after I explained how exhausted I was all the time, so terrified of going outside that grocery shopping gave me panic attacks. His problems were failing school and not caring, along with sleep apnea that I had been begging him to see a doctor about for 6 months. Despite this, he still wasn't trying to move out, content to let his mom iron his shirts while he played video games all day and night, barely speaking to me on Discord. I'm still in the UK now. I've made a few friends and discovered that I have CPTSD. It's hard, and I've felt very alone. I carry a lot of shame, and I've been trying to make sense of everything in my life and my relationships up to now. I needed to write this somewhere where others might see it. You don't have to stay with people who let you sob over your dead cat while complaining about your parents cooking and wanting fast food, all while making you pay for it. It took one comment on my previous post that suggested I might have PTSD and needed to leave that mess, something we all laughed at and downvoted at the time. That person was right. Cheers, mate. Edit, I wasn't expecting so many comments. I can't reply to everyone, but I truly appreciate all the support. Thank you so much.